How y'all doing? My name is Red Gold Maximus here, back again for another video, and today I'm going to be doing a review for 7 Deadly Sins Season 1. Now, I originally was going to just review Season 3 of this show, but I decided that it wouldn't make sense for me to just review Season 3 when you guys don't know how I felt about Seasons 1 and 2. So, here we go. All the next reviews that I'm going to be putting out are going to be of 7 Deadly Sins for the time being until I finish off the series. I've already watched all of the series, don't worry, but the next 3 videos that I do will all be reviewing of this show. So that means that the newly, I guess, popular whistling video, which I intend to make a series off of, I do intend to do more whistling videos, but my mom gets migraines and I don't want to whistle when she's here, so that means I kind of have a limited space to record those. So I won't be doing any whistling videos for the time being, but I will be doing more yay, nay, or okays. And today's yay, nay, or okay is going to be on 7 Deadly Sins Season 1. Now, let me start off with the premise. So this series takes place in the Kingdom of Leonis, which is run by the benevolent King Bartra, and is protected by his Holy Knights. Now, the Holy Knights are controlled by Grandmaster Hendrickson and Grandmaster Dreyfus, who everybody thinks are just the nicest people ever. Truth is, predictably, they aren't the nicest people ever, and they try to forcibly take over the kingdom by basically capturing the royal family and confining them to the castle. However, little do they know that Princess Elizabeth, the youngest of the 3 king's daughters, manages to escape and goes on a solo mission to recruit and bring back all members of the 7 Deadly Sins, which is this group of former Holy Knights turned outlaws who supposedly killed the former Grandmaster Zaratros and have been on the run ever since. They were powerful enough to kill several Holy Knights, and now Princess Elizabeth knows that they are the only people who can stop the corrupt new generation Holy Knights and restore peace to the land. Now, it also turns out that Hendrickson himself has a secret agenda to bring back the demon race, which was sealed away many years ago. And to do this, he needs to find the hilt to Meliodas' sword. So he's also on a hunt to try and find the 7 Deadly Sins for his own corrupt purposes. And now it's a race to see which can be done first. Now, when I first watched this series, I have to admit I had never seen an anime before, so this makes this my first ever anime, which means I'm going to be a bit biased towards it. And I'm just going to say outright, I love this show. Like, all 3 seasons of this show, I loved. Alright, I know it's a bit of a spoiler or whatever, but there are things I don't like about each of the 3 seasons. They're not perfect. But Season 1 is pretty damn close to perfect, in my opinion. Alright, and let me just get off by saying, for one thing, that the visuals in this anime are absolutely stunning. Like, seriously, I could not get enough of the bright color palette that they used. Because in mangas, everything is black and white for the most part. There are very few mangas out there that are in color, which means that when they're done in anime, all the colors usually have to be made up, or they have to be, talked over with the author of the mangas first. And my god, 7 Deadly Sins takes advantage of the color. Like, the colors in this anime are incredible to look at. Everything feels distinct in this anime. It feels like no other anime. Everything is beautiful. Nothing feels shoddy, and they take full advantage of what they have available to them. The team who made the show, I mean. Everything feels perfect visually. And not to mention, what I like about this show quite a lot is that they actually take the time to animate everything. Like, this is a very detailed show. When they go on walks throughout the country, everything is lush when it's peaceful, and everything feels nice and destroyed during the scenes where they're trying to make us feel terror. And they build up the villains so well. Like, even though later on you realize they're kind of weak, they do such a good job of building them up and making them feel threatening that it's pretty hard not to enjoy their presence or feel intimidated by their presence. Every character in this anime is unique. And I do mean every single character feels unique. Hell, even their designs are all unique. When I take a look at one of the characters in the show, I immediately know who it is. Like, even in scenes where they got a bunch of holy knights all crowded together in one area, they made sure to give them all really unique designs. It's like when animes usually do crowds, they usually have everyone else look kind of generic and literally black and white, while the main focus is put on the characters like that we know about. Like, so they'll only have unique designs and colors for the characters we're already familiar with, or the ones we're supposed to become familiar with. This anime doesn't follow that rule. It makes sure that everyone looks unique, it makes sure everyone looks gorgeous, and it makes sure everyone feels important. And everyone in this anime legitimately does feel important and unique, both visually and personality-wise. Even their powers are really different from one another, which makes everyone have their own unique feel. Like the character Gil Thunder, who is a holy knight who's actually had his brain controlled by a spell for many years, he has electrical-based powers, and as soon as I hear thunder or see lightning, I immediately know Gil Thunder is coming next. And Gil Thunder is so easy to recognize with his pink hair. Like, no other character in the show has pink hair, if I remember. Wait, except for Gother. Forget I said that. That was kind of a dumb mistake. But seriously, though, I know Gother when I see him. I know every character in the show when I see him. Everybody just looks so different and unique to each other. And their personalities are really unique, too. One thing I really like about the Seven Deadly Sins, in fact, is that each of the characters represents the sin that they're meant to embody. Like, particularly Meliodas. What I like about Meliodas is that even though he's the main character of this anime, we don't know a lot about him. A lot of his past is just shrouded in mystery. Like, we don't know, like, how old he is. We don't know how powerful he is. We don't know how long he's been leading the Sins. We don't know all the adventures that the Sins went on when they were first together. There's just so much we don't know about Meliodas and the rest of the Sins, and yet their personalities are so engaging that we kind of forget to care how little we know about them. Meliodas can be really goofy and charming and even devious, but devious in a way that it's really not hard to focus on his character for what he is instead of what we should be hating him for. So, like, when he's groping Elizabeth, you think we were supposed to hate him for that. But quite frankly, he has such an engaging character that we kind of forget to hate him for that. And another thing I like about this show is that it takes its time for character development. And it takes a lot of time for it. Like, there will be entire episodes dedicated to building up one of the other characters in the show. Like, even if that seems like it's trying to sidetrack from the main story, they manage to fit it in a way that's not distracting. A prime example for this is they have a couple of episodes that take place in this location called the Necropolis, where dead people go, and all the Sins that they've gathered so far are fighting this new generation holy knight named Gila. But at the same time, they got this battle going on between King and Bon, and King wants to kill Bon for reasons unknown to the viewer. And basically, it slowly builds up to the reason why. Like, it shows flashbacks of Bon and Elaine, and Elaine's death, and how it contrasts to King's belief that Bon killed Elaine. And it does this at the same time they're trying to battle Gila, and King and Bon are battling each other. It feels like that should be a clusterfuck, but it's not. It's done so incredibly well that we kind of forget to care that it should be distracting from the plot, because it's not distracting from the plot, it's building the plot. It's building the characters, and it's fleshing out the world. Everything about this world is engaging to me. If I had one gripe about this season, it's that I don't care much for the Elaine character, as evidenced by the fact that if you guys have ever been on my Wattpad page, you'll see I've written tons and tons and tons of fanfictions for this anime, and almost all of them are for the Bon and Jericho couple, and not the Bon and Elaine couple. And the reason for that is because in this season, I don't care for Elaine at all, really. I kind of like Elaine for being willing to die so that Bon could live, but I don't feel like that emotion was earned because the relationship between her and Bon wasn't built up enough for me, especially considering how young she looks. I always kind of got a little when thinking about that couple, because Bon's not as old as Elaine was, but Elaine looks so much younger than him that it makes me question Bon's taste in women. But besides that, I like everything about this season, really. As I mentioned before, each of the sins really embodies what they're supposed to. Bon is supposed to be the fox sin of greed. And while he can be greedy at times, he's more lazy than anything else. And he's so laid back and lazy, and he's just an anti-hero. He is the living embodiment of the tone of the show, it feels like. Like, he is very similar to Meliodas in some ways. Like, as I mentioned earlier, Meliodas can be really charming and goofy and, just all the things that you wouldn't expect from a main character. Like a main character is supposed to be weak at the beginning and then strong later, and he's supposed to have this bright personality, and he's supposed to be engaging and all this stuff. And Meliodas shouldn't feel like that because he gropes Elizabeth's boobs and makes sex jokes and does all this ridiculous stuff. But he can be so engaging thanks to the mystery of his background, his dedication to protecting those he loves, people like Elizabeth and the rest of the sins. Like, it's no wonder he's the wrath sin, like the dragon sin of wrath. Because when he gets into battle, he really goes into battle. He gets furious. There are a lot of scenes in this show where you can tell Meliodas is genuinely pissed off. So, and that goes to show you how much he genuinely cares about those that he loves. And the same goes for Bon, actually. Even though he has such a laid-back attitude, you can tell that he would do anything for those that he loves. When he protects Meliodas, or when he protects just basically everybody. He protects everybody. He protects Elaine, he protects Meliodas, he protects the other sins, but he's not afraid to fight the sins either. He fights King, he fights Meliodas, and he fights Meliodas to restore Elaine back from the dead, so there's a lot of conflict in Bon's head going on, like, I want to revive Elaine from the dead, I know that, but do I really want to kill my friend to do it? And, oh my god, Deanne is another one of these kinds of characters. She has such a bright and indistinguishable personality. Like, it's really, really difficult to not look at Deanne and go, oh, that's Deanne. Because she just stands out in more ways than her just being a giantess. Her personality is just so unique to her that it's hard to mistake her for anyone else. And her relationship with the other characters is really pleasant. Like, I love how she's jealous of Elizabeth for her relationship with Meliodas, because she's in love with Meliodas. But then later on, as the season progresses, she and Elizabeth actually become really good friends. And when King gets introduced and we find out King has a crush on Deanne, even though we've only known King for a few minutes, we already know that that's an adorable crush and we're going to love him for it. And the relationship between King and Deanne is really good in this season too, especially in the later stages of the season when we get that flashback episode where we see King and Deanne's old relationship and how heartbreaking it is when King has to erase Deanne's memories of him because he knows he's going to be arrested, for being neglectful of the fairy race. Just all this stuff. The relationship between King and Deanne is so good. And just everything about this show is good. Gother's clueless personality is great. I love how he doesn't overly care for people, even though he's the sin of lust. He's not necessarily lustful. He's just trying to understand the way humans work, because as we learned in Season 3, he's not a human. I think it was kind of obvious in Season 1 that he wasn't human, but still, I really was wrapped up in Gother in this season. I liked everything that he was doing with that giant. I liked how he just finds all these creative solutions to problems, like when they send that group of Holy Knights or whatever to kill the Iron Giant or whatever, and we're led to believe the Iron Giant is actually Gother, but it's not. It's a monster wearing Gother's armor. And Gother, he actually debuts during this battle. And anyway, the knights come up and they're like, we're not leaving until we get this giant's head. And Gother just, like, carelessly cuts off the giant's head and gives it to them. And then there's, like, a later episode where they actually have to try and save Elizabeth from the kingdom of Leonis. And on their way there, all these Holy Knights come at them at once, and it's going to be this big battle. And then Gother just comes, shoots them all with arrows, and now they have their memories warped to think that they're actually friends with the seven deadly sins, and they just let them in. And like, all I can think is, wow, that's really creative. And there's just so much good stuff in this season. Even the villains in this show are really done well, especially in this season, and that's considering the fact that like Hendrickson and Dreyfus haven't had nearly as much character development as they would get in season 3. But I still cared about them in season 1, and I really liked some of the other villains in this season, like Jericho especially. I really like Jericho because I myself have an inferiority complex, so I can relate to Jericho's character. And I really like her need for vengeance and the lengths she's willing to go to get revenge on Bon. And the relationship she builds up with Bon is so good. You're like, oh, I want them to get together even though I know it will never happen. You know, it keeps the fanfiction community booming. Believe me, I would know. While also not ruining the main story. And the story of this season is just amazing. It never once feels unearned, the emotional moments. The emotional moments always feel earned. They always feel like they had a lot of build up to them, with the exception of Elaine's death. I feel like another episode or two would have made me care more about her death. But besides that, I'd say this season was near perfect. And I didn't even talk about Helbram yet. Oh my god, Helbram. Helbram was such a great villain in this season. He's more of an anti-hero, actually, come to think of it. He's aligned with the New Generation Holy Knights, and he's fighting the Seven Deadly Sins, and at first you really hate him for it. But when you learn more about his past and his connection to King, like how it turns out the two of them used to be best buddies, and then when King was injured and got his memory erased, and he wasn't there for his people, and his people started getting killed by humans, like, it brings up this whole new layer to Helbram's character, because Helbram apparently had to witness several of his friends getting their wings plucked off, and he's haunted by those sounds of the wings being torn off one by one, and his friends screaming as they died. And now he's on this vengeance mission to kill all of humanity, you know? And he's like, even no matter how many humans I kill, the sound of their wings being plucked off never ceases. You know, stuff like that. Oh my god, King has to kill Helbram like 3 times in this season, and each time is more emotional than the last. Like, he actually has to kill Helbram twice in one battle. The Battle of Leonis is, like, one of the best series of anime episodes I've ever seen. Like, the only series of anime episodes I could say could possibly compare are pretty much the entire first 2/3 of Death Note, and the series of episodes in Soul Eater where they're under DWMA and they're fighting all those Kishins one by one. You know the series of episodes I'm talking about. I'm going to go more into depth. I do intend to do one of these for Soul Eater one day. But the Battle of Leonis is the only series of episodes I think it could compare to that. And I really just loved this show. This season felt perfect. I cared about the heroes, I cared about the villains, the anti-heroes were really enjoyable in every sense of the word. The animation is really enjoyable. The emotional moments feel earned and not forced. The character development never distracts from the plot, which in itself is really engaging. And in my opinion, this was just a great way for me to be introduced to anime, and it's still one of my favorite animes to this very day. I have 2 t-shirts for this anime, and that's more t-shirts than I have for any other anime. Usually I only get 1 t-shirt per anime. I have 2 for this one. And I just love this show. I've seen this season at least 5 times, and I just can't get enough of it. It's really that good. I love everything about this show. I love the friendships, I love the romances, I love the heroes, I love the villains, I love the setting, I love the animation, the plot, the character development, the music, the emotional atmosphere. It's all perfect. I love every minute I'm watching this show. And I love the mystery that surrounds all the characters and how much more you want to learn about everybody because of how cool their personalities are. This just feels like an anime that's suitable for all viewers. The graphic parts of the anime shouldn't be too, like, emotionally scarring for children. I would recommend this for like an older audience because the groping scenes might be a bit questionable for young children, especially in the United States where that kind of stuff is taboo. But I still think this is a great way for people to get introduced to anime. So if you're trying to get into anime, I would recommend Seven Deadly Sins as the first one to go with. And the fact that it's a Netflix original means that a lot of time and effort is going to be invested into it because Netflix is a huge powerhouse right now. And Seven Deadly Sins is one of their biggest early successes, especially in the anime department. So I would definitely recommend giving Seven Deadly Sins a look. It's definitely worthy of a yay from me. So anyway, thank you everybody, and I'll see you guys when I do my Season 2 review coming up soon. And thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.